Isagi Yoichi, an aspiring footballer, receives a letter from Japan Football Union to visit their office for special training. He later learns that some of the best footballers across the island nation are also invited there to find the future striker for Japan who will help the country win the World Cup. At the Saitama Prefecture Tournament Finals, Ichiban and Matsukaze Kokuo compete against one another to qualify for the Nationals. The latter already has a 1-0 lead, and the game is in its last minute. Luckily, Ichinan's striker, Isagi Yoichi, finally gets a pass, and he outmaneuvers every defender to take the ball close to the goalpost. However, he decides to pass the ball to his teammate, who is in a better position, but he misses the shot by a few inches. Matsukaze counterattacks and scores another goal moments later, thanks to their striker, Ryusuke Kira, guaranteeing their win. When Isagi returns home later that day, he receives a special training invitation from the Japan Football Union. He visits their office the following day and learns that some of the best footballers from Japan are also invited. Later, the players are greeted by Jinpachi, Ego, who tells them that he plans to make one of them the best striker on the planet so that Japan can finally win a World Cup. According to him, the country does not lack teamwork or camaraderie. Still, it has historically never had an egotistical striker who takes it on himself to perform on the stage when it matters the most. When he downplays teamwork and praises individual greatness, a lot of footballers are pretty offended, especially Ryusuke Kira, who mentions that he is a fan of some of the Japanese players that Jinpachi is disrespecting. However, his words do not affect him, and Jinpachi claims that people who wish to leave can go back home. However, he has now taken the responsibility to help Japan win a World Cup no matter the cost. As he intelligently gives examples of some of the best footballers on the planet who were selfish on the field and thought little of the team, Jinpachi manages to convince most aspiring players there. With the promise of greatness ringing in their ears, the 300 most promising strikers from Japan accept Jinpachi's offer to compete for a chance to become the best in the world. They are soon taken to a facility known as the Blue Lock. There, Isagi is asked to go to a specific room. Upon arrival, he finds Kira-kun and some other strikers waiting for an official update from the association, and soon enough, Jinpachi communicates with them through video conferencing. Jinpachi tells the anxious players that all of them at the Blue Lock facility have been ranked based on their arbitrary and biased decision coupled with a rigorous quantification of their abilities. However, these rankings can later change based on the performance of the strikers in training events and matches. The top 5 will eventually get to participate in the U20 World Cup for Japan. But to everyone's shock, Jinpachi adds that the footballers who will lose at Blue Lock will also lose the chance to represent Japan forever. To start their training, Jinpachi organizes a game of tag using football and tells the players that the person who is it at the end of 136 seconds will be eliminated from the facility. Before Jinpachi communicated with the players through video conferencing, Isagi met a young and motivated guy named Gurimu Igarashi. His parents run a temple, but he intends to become a footballer instead and has no plans of inheriting it from them. So, Blue Lock is his only chance to achieve his seemingly impossible dreams. Unfortunately, now he runs the risk of losing the opportunity to play football for Japan forever in his life if he fails. Now, every aspiring player in the room knows the stakes are high, and they must give their all on the field. Since Gurimu is ranked 300, he is it by default and is forced to kick off the game. At first, he tries to target Isagi since he also has a poor ranking, but he soon attempts to hit anyone he can. Unfortunately, Gurimu misses his shots one after another and naturally begins to panic. Then his eyes fall on Bachira, who still appears to be in a deep sleep. But when he is about to kick the football in his direction, Bachira flips and lands a brutal kick on his face. He manages to evade getting hit, but Rensuke does not appreciate his rough approach, so he tells him not to play dirty. When he is distracted, Gurimu manages to hit Rensuke with the ball. However, Rensuke does not take long and strikes Isagi accidentally while trying to hit Gurimu. The ball crashes right in his stomach, but Isagi soon gathers all his courage and chases the rest of the players. Eventually, he corners Gurimu, who has twisted his leg in all the commotion and cannot run away. Although he can easily eliminate him, Isagi refuses to do so as he recalls the final match where he decided to pass the ball. He feels that he no longer wants to be the same person he was, and if he desires to become the best in the world, he must beat players stronger than him. Bachira is impressed by his resolve, and so he decides to take the ball away from him. He then proceeds to target Kira, one of the best players. Although Kira manages to evade a few attacks, Bachira eventually kicks the ball in Isagi's direction, which is just in the right position at the right time. He does not hesitate as the football comes to him and eliminates Kira in the last seconds of the tag game, making him the first striker to leave Blue Lock. Jinpachi justifies Kira's expulsion by explaining how everything at the titular facility is designed to prepare the strikers to become the best in the world. Isagi soon learns that most Blue Lock players are physically far more agile and fitter than him. Jinpachi discusses with Isagi and his dorm mates the following day and explains the rules for the first selection. Just after Japan's disappointing elimination from the World Cup, like every time, an important meeting is held at the headquarters of the Japan Football Union. Henri Tyree, a new hire there, is furious about the present-day state of the country's football and argues that they need to make a serious change. Although other members of the JFU are unconcerned and irresponsible, she makes the case that the national football team needs to make serious changes that are only possible if a man like Jinpachi Ego is given control. That day, her speech at Japan Football Union led to the Blue Locks Foundation later. In the present, Kira struggles to wrap his head around the fact that he has just been eliminated from the facility and lost his chance to represent Japan forever. He is furious and argues that the stupid game has nothing to do with soccer. However, Jinpachi contends that the room they were playing in was exactly the size of a regular penalty area, and the tag game tested the striker's accuracy and other skills. Kira can still not process that he is eliminated, but Jinpachi cites examples from one of his games and argues that he lacks the ego and perseverance of a world-class striker. He eventually decides to walk away, furious that Isagi managed to take away his dream of representing his country. Later that day, the strikers return to the facility and learn that players are treated differently based on their rankings. Isagi lives with the rest of the 11 players who participated in the tag game in a dorm. However, he soon learns they are far better than him regarding physical fitness, which makes him sleepless at nights. When he decides to train, he finds Bachira is also awake, and the duo end up training together. That's when Bachira tells Isagi that there is a monster inside his head that guides him when he is playing football, and all he does is listen to it. That's exactly why he passed the ball to him, which resulted in Kira's elimination. The following day, Isagi and his dorm mates learn that the players at the Blue Lock facility live in 5 buildings. They all have different amenities, and strikers go to a specific building based on their skills. It turns out that Isagi and his teammates belong to a team of the lowest-ranking players. Elsewhere in Japan, Itoshi Issei, one of the country's most talented players, prepares to leave for Europe with no plans to ever play for his country, as he believes no footballer in Japan deserves his pass. However, he decides to cancel his plans when he accidentally comes across Japan Football Union's press conference, where Henri explains what they intend to achieve for the country's future through the Blue Lock project. As mentioned earlier, the Blue Lock facility has 5 buildings, and the strikers are divided into different teams based on their rankings. Isagi is in Team Z, ranked the lowest, and lives with 4 other teams in Building 5. In the first selection, The 55 players in each building will compete in a 5-team round-robin game, meaning 11 of Isagi's dorm mates will play together. The top 2 in the round-robin game will pass the survival test and move to the second selection. However, the players in Team Z immediately start discussing the obvious flaw in the test. Since all the Blue Lock facility players are strikers, they have no experience in defense. Naturally, none of them know anything about being a goalie. Answering these concerns, Jinpachi argues that when football was invented, all the players on the field were strikers. The present-day notions of defense and the numerous tactics with different positioning have only evolved recently. He encourages the players to think about the game in new terms, challenging present-day tactics. According to Jinpachi, if Japan aspires to become the best, it is only natural for the new generation of players to think about creating soccer from zero. His thought process is understandable, since Blue Lock aims to find the legendary striker that will change the face of Japanese football and take it to new heights. Jinpachi motivates the players to evolve their game philosophically, which is how most world class become the way they do, as just following traditional tactics is not good enough. Thanks for watching my anime recap. If you liked it, subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought of the recap. I hope to see you all in part 2 of the series.